Welcome to NOLA Talks, presented by New Orleans & Company, the destination and sales marketing organization for our hospitality and tourism industry. So this is our 4th year doing NOLA Talks. These events are really an opportunity to talk about the different sectors of hospitality and tourism industry. This year we are focusing on entrepreneurship in the industry. We have a great panel to lead this discussion. Hospitality and tourism are such an important part of our city, and I think even for somebody like myself that started in January, I had a concept of our major hotels, things like the Virgin, people like Harris, and how much hospitality supported them. And one of the things I learned through my time with the New Orleans & Company is really the beauty of it is that it filters down to all businesses of different sizes. And tonight you're gonna hear from some of our businesses in the city that directly benefit from hospitality and tourism, and we're excited to be able to present that to you. Now for our panel discussion. I'd like to introduce our moderator, Andrea Chen, co-founder and CEO of Propeller. She oversees the Propeller. So she oversees the entire Propeller team, operations and strategic direction. She began her career as a high school English teacher. I did not know that. I've known her for about 5 years. I didn't realize that. At John McDonough Senior High School, and subsequently trained teachers at the University of New Orleans and the New Teacher Project. She has worked at the Louisiana Association of Charter Schools, where she oversaw grant making for over $5 million in charter school startup funds and launched a $1.5 million below market rate bridge loan fund. She was named a 40 Under 40 by Gambit magazine, 2010 City Businesswoman of the Year, World Economic Forum Young Global Shaper, and is an appointed board member of the New Orleans Business Alliance, the official economic development arm of the City of New Orleans. She graduated from Stanford University, attended Harvard Graduate School of Education, and the University of New Orleans, and was trained in business at Dartmouth University's Tuck School of Business. She's been a good friend. She's a leader in our community. It's been a pleasure to know you over these past few years, and thank you so much for moderating this panel tonight. With that, I'll turn it over to Andrea.
All right. Thank you so much, Kevin, for bringing us all together tonight. One thing to know about me is I love entrepreneurs. I love entrepreneurship, and it was really fun just, even before we got in here, meeting a bunch of new entrepreneurs that I'd not met in the city. So I'd love to just start out with the audience. Will you raise your hand if you were an entrepreneur? Wow, that is definitely more than half the audience. It's amazing. So y'all are in for a treat tonight because I've been following the entrepreneurs on stage for many years, and they have incredible stories, especially in the last couple months too, that I haven't even known about. So y'all really are in for a treat. So we're going to start with a panel discussion, but we're going to have an opportunity at the end for Q&A from the audience, and then we'll also be hearing from Ms. Elena Harris from the mayor's office. And so we're just going to go ahead and kick it off with introductions from these fabulous entrepreneurs on stage. So I'm going to actually start with Jonathan Floyd, who is a CEO and founder of Box of Care. So Jonathan is born and raised Louisianan, a graduate of Brother Martin and LSU. And Box of Care was founded in 2017, so really not that long ago, based on 5 pillars. Providing a platform for local businesses, creating quality gifts, properly representing the city of New Orleans and its people, supporting Black, minority, women, and LGBTQ+ businesses, and being eco-friendly. So some of the big wins from Box of Care just from 2017. I'll just name some of them. The All-State Sugar Bowl, they provided the Box of Care gift packages during the All-State Sugar Bowl, Final Four, and some of the largest corporations in the world like Burger King and United Airlines. So we're going to be hearing from Jonathan, but before y'all give your round of applause, I just want to show you all what the Box of Care looks like. So this is it, and you can see. Jonathan, it really matters a lot to him, and you can speak more about this, please. Local companies. So we have here Wix NOLA. If y'all don't know about Wix NOLA, local candle company.
Black-owned, woman-owned.
Black-owned, woman-owned. Cookies, got some coffee, and then a mug that he actually made himself. So these are available for purchase, and also customizable for folks that want corporate gifts. So round of applause for Jonathan. Okay, next up we have Ashley Burton. So I just met Ashley for the first time tonight, but completely blown away. So Ashley is the CEO of Burton Transit and is one of the few female-owned limousine companies in America. So born and raised in New Orleans, Ashley graduated with a degree in biology and chemistry from Xavier. On the path of becoming a doctor, medical school at Mississippi College, and decided to start a limousine company. And this was just a few years ago, and Ashley's gonna talk more about her most recent successes, but y'all know Essence was just a couple days ago, and they had the contract for limousine services for all of Essence, meaning all the main stage performers, Nicki Minaj, Nas, New Edition, everybody, and everybody that they transported through their company. And just a few years ago, it was just an idea in your head. So round of applause for Ashley. Okay, so next up, we have Greg Tillery, CEO and founder of Weedat's New Orleans Chicken and Shrimp. And just raise your hand. Who's been to Weedat's?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Is a native of native of New Orleans, a graduate of Edna Carr and Tuskegee, and began, learning the ropes in sales and marketing at Frito-Lay. And in 2013, started Weedat's as a food truck business. And it says here 4, but I think it's 9. So at this point, from 2013 to 2022, 9 restaurants, full-service restaurants with over 50 employees, and also 14 SKUs in grocery stores all across America. H-E-B, which is big in Texas, if you don't know about it, H-E-B's, Rouse's, Walmart. And so also in an effort to give back to the community, he successfully launched Weedat's Cares. It's a division of his company focused on volunteerism and strategic partnerships that allow him to give back to the community in an effective and impactful way. So join me in welcoming Greg. Okay, so last but not least, Colin Ferguson. So I've been knowing Colin for a while now. Colin is the CEO and managing director of Where Your Art Works, and also is a graduate of Tulane's Freeman School of Business. She's also a working artist herself, and her passion has always been helping other artists create more sustainable and creative careers. And remember in the early days, Kat here as well. And so Where Your Art Works, full-service art consulting company that connects organizations and individuals with local artists who create work for and about the communities they serve. So beyond enhancing workspaces, Where Your Art Works curates and produces environments with the power to transform spaces, organizations, and communities by enriching culture through the power of local art. So some of the big things that I recently learned about, so when we were working with Colin, it was an online platform, and we're just thinking about the idea for getting into hospitals and doing all the artwork. So at this point, they're doing all the artwork for all Oshners, and they have given back, well, not given back, but they pay local artists and framers to put the artwork on big buildings. And at this point in time, $2 million directly to artists and framers that they've been able to really build that economy. So please join me in welcoming Colin. So as you can see, these folks have been very busy up here on the stage. And I'd like to first start out for you to brag on yourselves for just a little bit, which I think sometimes, might feel humble about it. But would love for you to tell the audience, what is your proudest, one of your proudest moments in the last year, or one of your big successes that really kind of illustrate what your company can do for maybe the last 6 to 12 months? So, Greg, maybe we can start, or did I promise?
Yeah,
However
you want to do it.
Okay, let's start it off.
So I think that, first of all, everybody, I appreciate y'all having me. I appreciate you. Congratulations, brother. Well deserved. Shout out to my moms in the building. So, I think my proudest moment is probably this past week. I actually signed my FDD to start legally franchising Weedat's across the country. So, I'm very excited about that. I've been working on it since the pandemic started, and it's just been a lot of time that has went into it, and just to finally sign the paperwork the other day, it just meant everything to me. So, it's a very humbling experience to start from a food truck, have multiple locations in different states, have the different products in different SKUs, which the pandemic caused me to pivot into those products. And then now to be able to legally franchise across the country, I think is just, I'm from the 7th Ward, I come from a shotgun house. My mom, single parent, raised us, me, my brothers, and my sister. And, it's just kind of surreal, but I really wouldn't be sitting here, I should say, speaking to everyone without the support of the city. So, and then we can talk on the tourism because, that's on Canal Street has definitely become a staple in the city, and I'm just definitely just thankful and grateful just for all the support.
So Greg, what can we expect from you with the franchise? Like, what are your goals for expansion? Can you tell us what we can expect to see?
No problem. If you follow me on Instagram, I've been strategically kind of putting it out there as far as us, being able to start franchises. Now, I've been getting people asking me since I started, on a food truck, when they wanted to do the food truck, franchise the food truck. But my long-term goal is to have a weed in every city across the country. And the blessing is that I've been connected with people who have a bigger influence than I do that are interested right now in doing just that. So I'm just blessed, man. I'm just along for the journey, along for the ride. I'm just excited about, what God has for me. I'm just thankful that he chose me to be, the owner of Weed Ads and to be sitting on the stage with all of these beautiful people, in a room with all of these beautiful people. So, thank you.
Yeah, amazing.
Yes, thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Ashley. So your biggest success, your proudest moment from the last 6 months.
Okay, so
You've got a lot, I know, so.
not that many. For me, I guess it was Essence Fest. We've only been in business 4 years, so before the pandemic, we got a piece of Essence Fest, and she called me to come back this last year, and we got the whole Essence contract. So that was our proudest moment. And also, we're growing really fast. My brother, who's also my business partner, he's moving to Nashville to start our company there as well. Yes.
So Ashley, why do you think that they decided to give you the contract and expand it for the next year?
I think we did a great job the first year, so we got called back this time, and we were able to, I think when we first did it, we didn't really know what we were doing, but we did a great job because we only had been in business 1 year. But when the pandemic happened, we were able to step back and just reevaluate things and get things right, and we came back and did a great job this year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. All right, Jonathan.
I would say within the last 6 months, the biggest thing was getting the call about the Final Four, getting the opportunity to do gifts and partner with the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation. Now, it's hard to follow Greg and Ashley, but I'm going to try to make this out as awesome as I can. I'm going to try to make this out.
The Final Four is huge.
Yeah, but what I will say is this business started in 2017 in the kitchen area of a 1,000 square foot apartment, moved into 200 square feet in a part of the garage until my wife told me get out. And now I'm in an office, and she didn't even smile. And now I'm in an office in Kenner, and not just the Final Four, but also the Sugar Bowl, and just having the opportunity to represent New Orleans and be the first thing that people get when they get to the city is, and I was telling Andrea, something I don't take lightly. And then in addition to that, being able to showcase, I've got NOLA Cookie Company in that box, a black woman-owned business. Being able to give people a platform and an opportunity to showcase what they're doing, those creators and makers of New Orleans, and let people know New Orleans is here and never really left.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Colin.
When I think about our proudest moments, I kind of think back to where we started. So Kat and I started as local artists who wanted to create something that didn't exist for us in this city. And the proudest moments for us really aren't related to revenue. It's like when Sarah Nelson called us and told us that she was able to buy a car after her car got flooded out in one of the stormwater issues. She was able to buy a car because of the work that she was getting with commercial projects. Sean Clark is an artist that we work with. He did some commissioned work for the Tulane Center for Diversity and Inclusion. He applied for his MFA this year, and he's pretty sure that his artwork there is the reason why it nailed it for him for his application. And then our oldest artist that we work with is George McClements, and he's in his 80s, and he came to us and said that the work that he got right before the pandemic is the only reason that he was able to pay his rent and to be functioning throughout the entire COVID pandemic. And so, I mean, for us, we started this business because we wanted artists to feel like they were a part of the growth of this city, and to be able to hear those real stories of those are the real wins of why we do what we do. So,
Yeah, amazing. Thanks, Colin. So you're looking at 4 entrepreneurs here who've, obviously made it and have had huge successes, but they didn't all start out that way. Most, I think, started out working multiple jobs while they were, working their company on the side. Most, if not all, and looking, right?
Yes.
We know this,
Yes.
we know this, and we probably, a lot of folks in the audience are still in that position. And so want to hear from you all, what got you, what are the success factors that got you to this point? Or or you can tell the audience about a defining moment that where oh, this is it, I'm doing this, this is a real thing.
I can go first. I mean, and not trying to plug New Orleans and Company, but I think becoming a member of New Orleans and Company was big for me. So not just working with them, but some of the other opportunities I've had was through the New Orleans and Company connection. So for anybody that is an entrepreneur, collaboration is so huge. And there's a lot of large corporations in this city that want to help and seek out small businesses. So for me, making that connection was a catapult for me to find other opportunities.
I agree. I joined different organizations, and just being in the directory, people are able to locate us and find us and know what we do and who we are. So just being a part of everything in the city, New Orleans and Company, the chamber, and things like that gets you recognized for sure.
we probably did what maybe everyone shouldn't do. Kat and I pulled all of our money, and we had no contract or agreements about loans, and we put it all in together, and we decided to go all in on building a business. We like to say that we sailed to an island, and then we burned all the ships. So then there was no way to ever get off of that island. So I think what we really learned through that is we just did not know failure, anything that we thought, there just wasn't an option. We had literally put everything that we had, and this had to work. And so what we did is, rather than when we had a failure, we looked at it as, what are we not doing? We've pivoted. We've pivoted so much it was like a dance. What you start your business at may not be how you actually make your money in the end. And so I think really learning that commitment and grit and failing fast, those are all big lessons that we learned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would say for me, like I said, I was a district sales manager for Frito-Lay. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, I invested everything that I had. I'll just tell a story. I remember just being in our conference room at the time, listening in. Everybody in the whole PepsiCo organization was just listening to them talking about downsizing when the economy got bad. And I remember being in there and looking at mentors of mine. One of my mentors that currently works with me now, he retired from Frito-Lay, and he's currently working with me now, Mr. Don Solomon. But I remember just looking and seeing the fear on his face, because he was one of the people who helped found the company, well, not found the company, but helped grow the company. He'd been there for 22 years. So looking at him and looking at other people, and I'm fresh out of college, so they wasn't really, looking towards me because, I'm at the bottom, but just seeing the fear on their face, it just was I knew right then and there I couldn't depend on somebody to put a roof over my head and food on my table. So I invested everything that I had and really invested into a food truck that I knew nothing about. I graduated from Tuskegee with a sales and marketing degree. I knew nothing about cooking, even when my mom was in the kitchen back in the day and my grandmother, I wasn't in the kitchen. I played football alongside, I played sports alongside my boy Cedric Watts right there, so, at the car. So for me, I'm a firm believer of everything happening exactly the way it's supposed to happen, because I manage C-store, convenience stores, to Walmart's dealing and working with those relationships with those store managers and different things like that, selling Frito-Lay's brand. But now I have those same relationships selling my own products. So a lot of things that I incorporate into my own business, is stuff that I learned from them. So I definitely was working my full-time job Monday through Friday, and then getting on the food truck Thursday through Sunday, trying to get it. And once, it kind of clicked, once the city started hearing about it, and I've been on social media for a very long time. Back when Instagram first came out, and, social media helped word start getting around the city. People started coming to support me. But one thing that was just big for me, and it's still big for me, it's the biggest part of my business, is customer service. So, I would have people, in New Orleans. One thing I didn't say is the food truck, we didn't have any AC ventilation on there. So, if it's 100 degrees, we've been hitting 100-degree temperatures in New Orleans now. It's 110, 115 inside the truck with no AC. And, I just recognize, whether it's raining, whether it's hot, go wait in your car, and I'll bring your order out. And, you scroll my Instagram all the way down, you see me with umbrellas, bringing stuff. My boy Mo Flippin is in here. He supported me at the truck. He remember second to none Jim, so that's who I work out with. So got to shout out my boy. My brother we started at the same time. So, but yeah, it's just, I'm a firm believer, like I said, everything happens exactly the way you're supposed to happen, and you just try to take the lesson, out of it. And a lot of times those lessons can turn into big blessings. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, so you mentioned fear, obviously somebody else, but we've all, I think, as entrepreneurs experienced moments when we didn't know what to do. We're facing a challenge, an obstacle. We had COVID, and I'm sure pretty much every entrepreneur in this room had to pivot in some way with COVID, and it has not been easy. We know that. So want to just hear from you all of what did you all do during COVID? You run a food business, right? People weren't probably, being transported the same that they were prior to COVID. What did you all do? How'd you all make it through?
We had an interesting thing where we had to pivot in several different ways. So we have an art gallery in the Maroney, which we immediately had to close, which meant that all of that retail was done. Our other side of our B2C platform is our online sales, which we weren't sure if anyone was going to buy artwork if they were worried about their safety. Luckily, we were able to kind of pivot through that because people all of a sudden were working from home, and they decided to kind of revamp some things. And because we had affordable prints and things like that, we were an easy go-to for people to be able to do that. Our commercial art consulting business was very scary. We had $250,000 worth of artwork warehouse that was supposed to install within the first 4 months of COVID. And our biggest client was Auctioner, and they were busy putting up ICUs, and they didn't answer emails about art vending, which meant that we had to very quickly learn. Kat, my business partner's here, and I've always really held the purse with the iron fist when we come to our finances, but we learned why we did that, because cash flows, that was the only way. We didn't have to fire or furlough anyone through that. We were able to make it until they got their feet back under them. And then one of the bigger things that was interesting is we had been hired as the creative partner for a thing called Jam NOLA, the experiential thing down in the Maroney. And we had been working with all these artists, and we were going to launch the weekend of French Quarter Fest. And that was right before COVID. And so we had to help not only their executive team, but also all of the artists reimagine something that was supposed to be very tactile, very touch-worthy. And we had to create this experiential thing into a non-COVID death trap. And so basically every artist had to rethink what their installation was. And then we had to learn all sorts of things about HVAC systems and how lasers kill viruses and things like that. So we got it coming at us from all different ways. But everyone has that story. You figure it out. That's the only way.
Yeah, Ashley, I know you guys did a big pivot during COVID as well, which actually led to some of your success. Can you tell us how you turned a really bad thing into something good for your business?
Yeah, so originally we started off as a medical transportation company, and we kind of got into the tourism side of transportation and really liked it, and that took off. So we kind of just threw medical transportation to the side. So when COVID happened, we got back involved in medical transportation and kind of were helping people get to their doctor's appointments and making sure everyone was getting there safe. And that's what really helped us to pivot back to where we started at and just, brought us back to our roots of how we started into transportation.
So tell us more about how you built it back or expanded because it's a big shift that had, really big results.
So I don't have any entrepreneurship background at all. So when we started, we didn't know anything. We were just winging it. So me and my brother. So the first year we did good just to say we were on our own. But when COVID happened, we kind of were able to take a step back and just reevaluate things, read books and educate ourselves more, create systems. And when COVID it's not going away, but died down just a little bit, we were able to use those systems that we created and it really worked and helped us out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just being able to take that step back and look at it from a different perspective while things were slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So when the pandemic happened, I decided, I was appointed to Mayor Cantrell's advisory board. So shout out to her team, my girl Ray, Jared, Elena. I listened in on tough conversations that Mayor Cantrell had. And for her, it was health over wealth. And I kind of took the same approach. So when the pandemic happened, I actually closed all of my stores down.
Wow.
And I closed my stores down for about 8 months, but the blessing in disguise is that it forced me to pivot into the products, into the grocery stores. And now we have 14 SKUs and we got 3 more that's about to drop, which I'm very excited about. It's very exciting. I'm very excited about that. What people don't understand is that I remember, you talk about the square footage, I remember I was staying in Gretna, I was staying in a 650 square foot, little apartment loft kind of thing. And when the pandemic happened, I just remember, man, it just was like I was in a jail cell. But I was working harder than I had ever worked before. And, the financial obligations that I had didn't go away. And, what people don't understand is that going into the pandemic, our Canal Street location had to deal with the Hard Rock Hotel collapsing, which basically that intersection cut off all the traffic coming to Weedat. So, like I said, man, it's just been
challenge upon challenge upon challenge.
And I'm a firm believer. I say 2 things. The humble don't stumble. So I try to be as humble as I possibly can, because I've been up and I've been all the way down, and I've been down more than I've been up. And then I say that tuition, the correct tuition isn't free, but I say tuition ain't free, because you're gonna have to pay for those lessons in some form or fashion. So whether that be physically, whether that be financially, whether that be emotionally, whether that be mentally, you're gonna pay for it. And like I said, I try to see the silver lining in everything. And just with my faith, man, I just try to just stay as grounded as I possibly can and just be optimistic and know that things are gonna be okay. So like I said, every time, it's been numerous of times where I've been faced with, I remember when I first started the food truck that I knew nothing about. I remember truck catching on fire, head gasket going out, electricity going out, generators going out. True story, one of my brother-in-law now, who's married to my auntie, I met him from him helping me at a line of people outside the food truck, and my generator went out.
Wow.
And I needed my generator to operate my truck. So it's just, it's trials and tribulations that I'm sure we all face every day, all day long, and I try to look at myself as being a firefighter. So always putting out fires. But, it's like I said, it's been a journey, but I just, I'm just thankful for the journey. I tell people all the time, you just keep on planting seeds. Those seeds might not harvest right now. They may harvest 5 years from now. They might harvest 10 years from now,
That's right.
So, I'm just thankful, and I just, we that comes from, togetherness. When I thought about the name, We That Food Truck, almost 10 years ago, it was always a together thing. I've always, embraced people. I love people no matter who you are, what you believe in, what you look like. I just love people, especially people that's from our city. And I think the most important thing is the resiliency of the people of New Orleans and people from New Orleans. People in New Orleans been through so much, and people don't understand that. And it's just like, people, nobody, I don't know. It's just.
I think it's helpful. But Greg, you know what?
It's just, it's just that resilience, man. Look, I come from a strong mother. She raised us, by herself, and it's just like I seen her work 2 jobs and we never missed football practice, or she never missed a football game, or we never missed band practice. When I was at Marshall, played in the band, or when I went to Edna Carr and played football, she always was there. So it's just, and that's my bloodline. My grandfather, about to turn 80 years old, still cutting grass, cutting the neighbor's grass next door. So it's just, all I know is to work. All I know is, and my faith is what keeps me grounded, so I don't know.
Well, I've heard that from these 4 panelists too, but I'm glad you shared that. And sharing the challenges, because, I think the audience, sometimes we can look at you now and say, oh, you made it. No. You have 14 SKUs, you got 9 restaurants, you have a franchise, right? But the journey to get there was not easy, and I think that's something really important to remember for everybody who's an entrepreneur, because it's hard every day, right? And I think for a lot of y'all mentioned faith, and having how that keeps you going. So I know, Sandy, I think you said we need to wrap it up. Oh, okay. No, we can keep on going? Okay, not yet, okay. All right, great. All right, so Jonathan, can you tell us, about your challenges?
Yeah. I'll make it quick.
No, you don't need to make it quick. I think Sandy's giving us some more time.
No, I just, from my perspective, a lot of the same things that they face, but the one thing that was different for me, and I, again, want to shout out my wife, is she's a healthcare worker. And she makes a face at me. She's a healthcare worker, and I watched her go on the front line every single day and fight COVID, and her team, and coming through the garage of the house and take all the clothes off and run into the shower, and the kids wondering, mom is a streak running by and trying to figure out what's going on. So that was, it was hard seeing it from that standpoint, and kind of like everybody else, just kind of pushing through. I will say, the blessing for me is that when people couldn't come to New Orleans, they wanted New Orleans. So the positive was that I was able to see a spike in my business. But other than that, a lot of my business was going out and meeting people in person, walking in hotels, walking in the French market, and I could not do any of that. So there was that disconnect, and I'm glad that I'm able to get out and do those things again.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. So we know that in New Orleans, it's hospitality and tourism is a $10 billion economy, and it tanked during COVID. We know that. As entrepreneurs working in this industry, what do you think are the opportunities for us to build back this industry more inclusively, more equitably than we've ever had before? What do you see as the opportunities? What can we get right with this opportunity?
I think hosting more events, we had the Final Four. In essence, we did a great job. I think we're a great host when it comes to hosting those big events. Just securing more of those would be really great for New Orleans. It's a great place to be. The food is good. It's a small proximity of everything, so that's what people like when they come here. So securing more of those would be really great for the city.
I was going to say, I heard somebody say that New Orleans is the most versatile city in the country. It's a tech city, it's a food city, it's a sports city, it's an art city. and all of the, and not just doing those things, thriving in those things. So I think as we come back, you see those things grow and collaborate, and that will really help tourism. And as you know, people want to come in. And I know there's a question about the reputation of New Orleans, but some of the issues New Orleans has people have everywhere. But people know the flavor and the culture here is unique. So again, as those industries and different groups come back, you'll see people wanting to be here and see the locals continue to thrive and the traditions that we have be able to be seen. And I didn't mention music, but you look at John Baptiste and Lucky Day and PJ Morton and all. I mean, just New Orleans is everywhere. It really, really, really is on a national, national platform, if you will.
Kind of to dovetail about that, we started our business, we believe that New Orleans' cultural economy is the greatest natural resource that we have here. There's a lot of resources, and when we look at the way that other cities have grown, like Austin and Nashville and some other places, they've grown in a kind of sprawly way. They're big companies that come in, they're not super intentional in the way they make their decisions, and so one of the reasons why we started our company is because we wanted to make sure that creatives and culture bearers were able to get a piece of that wealth. Like as our city grows up and as more businesses come in and as we see our neighborhoods gentrify and everything, we risk driving the people that make this city special out. And it's really, really important for us to be intentional on like every level. So like, sure, we talk about tourism, but the reason why people come here is because of that cultural economy. And what we really try and do at this point is talk to companies and other places about, you can fulfill your cultural or your corporate responsibility in many different ways, but one of the ways that you can do it is through art. There are many, many different ways that you need to. And everyone who works in the city, everyone who works in the state of Louisiana really needs to be intentional about how like everyone is starting to get a piece of that wealth as we grow.
Yeah. Do you have ideas? Yeah. Like how do we create more opportunities for Black and brown entrepreneurs, for local Native New Orleanians, for women-owned companies? How do we do that as an industry?
Well, to touch on the first question, New Orleans was the #1 tourist destination, before the pandemic happened. And not only is it the events, but I think that the biggest thing is the food. Because nobody in the world has food like New Orleans. So, I mean, I think, I like to consider New Orleans a gumbo pot. It's just a mixture of so many different things, and it's so many different, hole in the wall spots of big, chains that, I still haven't visited, but when you go, it's like, man, I didn't even know this was here. So, but I think that, first, I'll come out and say that, I feel bad for, what was just passed, when it comes down to women and women's rights. So creating more opportunities for women, seeing more women in entrepreneurship roles, seeing people, it just got to be real, man. If I'm up here, I just got to be real. So, So for me, like I said, it's a together thing. Like I said, New Orleans hosts events, like you said. I mean, I don't know another city that does it better than New Orleans. So New Orleans is just a special place. It's very near and dear to my heart. It's molded me into the man that I am today. But I just think that, if you look at just some of the infrastructure and some of the companies that have came to New Orleans, and shout out to the mayor's team, and the mayor just with, some of the companies that have came. You see a lot of hotels that are coming back here and just businesses, New Orleans being a tech city. I mean, it's so many different industries that's down here that people have no idea about. And it's just, like I said, New Orleans is just a special place. And I just, I tell people all the time, go other places, experience it, but like me and a lot of other people, you'll always find yourself coming back home. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, Greg, you mentioned food, so I'm going to take a moment to make a plug for Propeller, because if there are any entrepreneurs out here in food, so you heard from Greg pivoting to starting a consumer packaged good, right? Like your own like frozen meal line, we actually didn't talk about that, but all that stuff, spice mix, right? And so if there are any food entrepreneurs in here, so Propeller runs a consumer packaged good food accelerator program. And many of our entrepreneurs have pivoted who had food trucks during the pandemic, like, I want my own etouffee sauce. I want my own, burger that I can sell in grocery stores. So that's something that you all are interested in. Propeller stuff, will you raise your hands? Shout out to Propeller stuff. Please go talk to one of our team members back there, or myself. And so going back to the topic. So do y'all want to mention any other things that you guys have thought about of like opportunities where we can really create more pipeline and opportunities?
I would say for women in business, because in my industry, it's not many women at all. A lot of times when I talk to women, they don't have the resources available. So just making more resources and grant opportunities available for minority, women in business, and I think that would help. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was a member of Fund 17, which is similar to Propeller. It's an incubator for businesses. I did that a few years ago, and that was a tremendous thing for me as well, learning like basic business skills, having people come in and talk to us. I think you did Fund 17 as well.
We did all the
Propeller.
Okay.
Village,
So, but again, similar to Propeller, but it was there, to what Ashley said, there's resources or identifying resources in the city for entrepreneurs, starting entrepreneurs, to feel a sense of community. And that was really what it gave me, in addition to the knowledge, to do business, basically.
So I'll dovetail, because we did all the other programs that weren't Fund 17. We started in Propeller, so shout out to Propeller. We originally were working in my business partner's childhood bedroom in her mom's house. And then we worked in Propeller. I mean, Andrea remembers us actually launching our entire platform, like with our whole web development team, which was more than we asked for, like in their incubator. But Propeller was great. Propeller helped us really nail down what all of our ideas were and what we were going to actually launch with. And because we were social good, we were really lucky to work with them. We also worked with the Idea Village, both in their Idea Accelerator program and in their Growth Accelerator program. We worked with the Catapult Fund, which is through Jazz and Heritage Foundation, Capital One, and the Louisiana Office of Cultural Economy. We pitched in every pitch contest that we possibly could have. Some of them we won, a lot of them we lost. Even the ones that we lost, we still made, the thing is we lost a lot, but we made connections with people in the room. The biggest one that we lost was we actually ended up being given Oprah to a free gallery space on Julia Street for over a year because they felt like we should have won the thing. So one of the things is definitely utilize the city's resources, but also don't ever do something because you're afraid, or not do something because you're afraid you might lose. You never know who might be sitting in that room that hears your pitch, that identifies with what you're doing. And just go after it. There's nothing else to lose. If you try, it's an automatic 50% chance increase. You're going to succeed.
That's right.
That's
right. So on that note, so Colin, so because we have so many entrepreneurs here in the audience tonight, let's just kind of do a round of what are your favorite entrepreneurship resources or tools that you've been able to access that you could recommend to folks in the audience here. You already kicked us off, Colin.
I tell you, I can name people I work with. Can I talk about vendors I work? Okay, so again, one of my things is identifying businesses in the city, especially minority-owned, woman-owned, that I think are great. NOLA Cookie Company is one of them. Wix NOLA is another one. Rashawn from Next Gen PR Group is in the back. I have a business coach, Josh Miles, who went to Brother Martin with me as well. Those have been some people who've been big and integral. Jambalaya Girl, who's not here, Cafe de Monde. Have y'all heard of that? Yeah, they're in my gift boxes as well, Tony Sashery. So for me, really identifying those businesses who need that platform, who need just a little bit of spotlight. And I get to work with them, put them in my boxes, and put those in the hands of executives from the NCAA or, coaches from major college football or executives from large corporations. And it's good hearing from my vendors when they have people tell them that they got their stuff through me. So it's just really special and something I don't take lightly at all.
So for me, of course, being a part of New Orleans and Company, the New Orleans Chamber and Black Chamber, of course. I also love working with other transportation companies because, again, I can't do everything on my own, so I love working with my other people, in the industry as well. And then for me, just always going to conventions in my industry to keep myself knowledgeable about everything. So I travel at least 4 times a year to wherever the Limousine Association is to just learn and know what's going on.
I would say shout out to New Orleans and Company. But I think that when you talk about tools, I remember calling my mom up and telling her that I was going to start the food truck that I knew nothing about, and the tool that I used was YouTube. And this was over 10 years ago. So, and then, if it's something that I don't know, you got Google, that's right at your hand. So I think that's some of the major tools that I use as far as like, if it's something that I don't know, I just do the research, find it. And like I said, I was telling you movies. I watched The Founder. The Founder is one of my favorite movies, but The Founder is basically giving you the blueprint about McDonald's. It's the movie about McDonald's. And a lot of people don't get into it because it's a dry movie, but for me, it means everything to me. For me, it means everything to me because, it just shows you just to make sure that your paperwork is together. It shows you that McDonald's is not in the hamburger business, they're in the real estate business, so owning the property. It shows you that you manage the pennies and the dollars will add up. And then just that, customer service standpoint, you just have to just go above and beyond, because what people don't understand is that word of mouth will travel faster than social media ever will. So, it's just important to just make sure that every person that you come in contact with, you embrace them and you treat them right because, like you said, you never know who's in the room or you never know who knows who. And to be completely honest with you, we live in a world, in a city that is not what you know, is who you know. So, I would just say, like I said, just keep treating people right, keep on doing right, keep on planting seeds even when it hurts you. Keep on helping people even when they may not deserve the help. You keep on doing it and, God will take care of the rest. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, Jonathan wants to.
Add on one more
Please
tool.
add.
One more tool for me has been my family. So my parents are here, my wife is here, and they have been in the room with me many a times putting boxes together, all times of the night. So a good support system is what I'm saying is helpful.
I've got one more. Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses is a really great program if you're starting out. But we talked about a lot of programs that you have to get into. There's another great resource that if you aren't in any kind of program and you're not doing something and you're looking for a loan and you're looking for just people to help, whether it's marketing or funding, that the LSBDC, which is the Louisiana LSBDC, Small Business Diction. Anyway, I know that acronym, but that LSBDC is great. They have individual consultants that can help you on a variety of different things. So if it's just a thing that you need and you're not looking to go through a program, you just need to figure out how do I get this loan? How do I get, my financial model? How do I get marketing help with that? They're also a great resource.
Awesome.
Yes, I'll take a moment to shout out some of the other folks in our entrepreneurship ecosystem that you may not have been exposed to yet. So we have Thrive New Orleans as well. They have a lot of programming for small businesses. The Urban League, they run a lot of workshops. And so one of the things that we would encourage you to look at is Propeller's put together a calendar of workshops, technical assistance opportunities, programs that are launching. And so you can just tap into that calendar if you're I want to learn about marketing. I want to learn about how to put together a loan package. Speaking of loan packages, we're about to launch a program, so another plug for Propeller, and this is free and open to the public. So anybody who's looking for financing or wants to get their taxes done, wants to improve their credit score, wants to set up QuickBooks for the first time and put their loan package together, please come talk to us because it is a free program. Anyone can join. You do not have to apply for it. And we'll do also one-on-one technical assistance to help you get your stuff together. So please come talk to one of us if you're interested in that resource.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm gonna switch gears a little bit because we talked a lot about New Orleans and how to network with people, and we all know here that marketing and social media and expanding your presence is really important to how you grow your business. And I would say all 4 folks here, have learned a few things about how to leverage social media. I can't say I know anything about social media, but I know a lot of folks here have a really strong following and have been able to convert customers and get contracts through their social media and the way they do their marketing. So who would like to share with the audience, how did you build that? And how do you make it work? How do you make it work for you?
So with us, we stay active every day, just posting something every day and making sure we engage with our followers. And we do promotions and sales every month. Each month we do a birthday sale, so we turn customers into leads that way by just promoting things on the Instagram platform.
Can you tell us about like a promotion that you did recently that yielded customers?
So the birthday promotion always yield customers because it gets them all excited about Cancer season or Libra season, and it gets them really excited and like, oh, I want a vehicle for my birthday. And then you throw a bottle of champagne in it, and they like it and they book it. Yeah, so that's always.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Has anyone tried that tactic before? Anyone in the audience did a birthday promotion? No? Okay, well, it's
You gotta
something
try it.
we
It
all can
works.
try. Awesome. Jonathan, you want
So
to add?
I'm still a work in progress.
We all are.
With social media. And again, I'm Rashad Harris from Next Gen PR Group, who's helping me. I'm trying to add a level of transparency to what I'm doing. I'm not shy, but I'm not one to like overshare. So I'm trying to learn to tell people about what's going on. So I'm still working towards that and trying to balance between overselling to people, but really for me it's about talking about New Orleans and getting the message out of whatever's going on here or whatever I'm doing in this city.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for us, it's all about storytelling. We recently, we're also a work in progress. We rebranded from Where Ya Art, which we've been until last year, to Where Ya Art Works because we're expanding out of the city and out of the state of Louisiana. And so we were marketing to a consumer audience, and now we're kind of shifting to marketing to an audience that's for more corporate clients. But it's really important to tell the story of what you're doing, and that's something that has rang true, whether we were marketing artwork to just individuals about artwork for their homes or telling the story about artists. It helps artists understand like what we are as an organization. It helps the companies that want to buy art from us understand that we are actually like in the community and that we do know everything. So I think if you're able to tell an effective story, that's really how people connect with your brand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. Want to share? You have a huge following.
And I'm blessed with that platform, to be completely honest with you. I think social media is great. I think that it's definitely changed the world and the perception that people have of the world. I think that we live in a world now where it's more instant gratification and people want things to happen like that. I don't come from that school because I started on social media. We have 259,000 followers on Instagram right now. But that started 10 years ago of me. If you see my posts, if you look at my posts, I got over 20,000 posts. Wow. So it's constantly me posting and advertising and posting and advertising. And social media is a job all in its own. On top of trying to run a company and deal with, team members. Right. Dealing with staffing issues, dealing with, like I said, different leases, landlords, all that good stuff, doing the products, all that stuff. So I think, it's all about staying relevant, because you got so much stuff that's thrown at you at one time. And it's how do you separate yourself from everybody else? And for me, I'm a work in progress too, because I'm paying attention to the trends. I'm understanding what, social media is doing. Instagram, used to be, you put it up and then all of your followers see it. Now, only 10% sees what it is that you post, because it's a business for them, which was probably a strategic long-term play for them anyways, because they knew what social media would do and how it would take off. So I get it. You know, I run sponsorship ads. You know, I have, you know, my Instagram and my Facebook like page. I have all of that hooked up. So what I post on Instagram goes straight to my Facebook like page. I'm able to see my business insight, to see, you know, the demographics, see, you know, top cities, see, you know, gender who, you know, is in there really, you know, supporting me. And, you know, it just helps me, you know, when it comes down to me posting different things. And to be completely honest with you now, you know, I have to be very, very careful of what I say and how I say it because of how I'm looked at. And it's just like, for me, I don't really pay attention to really what's going on, what everybody else got going on, because I got so much stuff going on. But it's just, you know, you have to pay attention to the trends. You have to keep up with the times, because if you don't, you're gonna get left behind. So for me, I understand that. So I'm currently looking at people to run my social media platform. Shout out to my mentee, Darren. He just graduated from Tuskegee. Very, very proud of him. So,
Any volunteers from the audience? Volunteers.
But yeah.
Are you still running your own social media?
I do run my own social media. So everything that you
259,000 followers.
Yeah, and every day I try to post at least twice. Like today, you know, I was on a conference call. We was on the HBCU Legacy Bowl conference call, and I was in the kitchen cooking. And yeah, man, I love you, bro. I appreciate you, bro. But it's just, you know, I mean, it just come with it. At the end of the day, is how bad do you want it? And it's just, I know what I want, and I know what I come from. I know the struggles that we went through, and it's just, I know the lifestyle that I don't want to live, and you know, what I've been exposed to and blessed to be exposed to, and the people I've been around, and I see the way that they live, and that motivates me to just work harder and just keep on grinding. And like I said, my faith just keeps me grounded to just know that I know everything is going to be okay, pandemic or not. It doesn't matter, Hard Rock Hotel or not, it doesn't matter, you know, whatever happens, it doesn't matter. It's just, you know, embracing the process and just trying to, like I said, keep on planting those seeds, and eventually, you know, you'll reap the harvest.
I think we all aspire to that, but that's very hard to do in practice.
Yes,
Yeah.
You're right. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get better at that, you know, when things go wrong, because things go wrong all day long. It's just understanding, like I said, the lesson into what's happening and pay attention. That's it. So, yes.
Thank you, Greg. So we have New Orleans Company, you know, putting on this event tonight. And so one of the things that has been a great resource for a lot of entrepreneurs is being able to tap into, I'm gonna say it, MICE, meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions, right? So we have all these big conferences coming to town, and many of our entrepreneurs here in New Orleans have been able to grow their businesses by being able to tap into that. So I know many of you all have, you know, been a part of that and have spoken to it, but how have you all been able to leverage that really to grow your business? So like big contracts, right? And I think that there's, for members of New Orleans & Co., you actually can have access to every conference coming into town, the contact information for the person who's managing it, and that's the person you can pitch to. So, yeah.
That's Jules.
First off, thank y'all for even giving us that contact information, because that goes a long way. So just being able to have that information is great. A lot of times people come and they don't know where to start at when they come to New Orleans. So just being in that directory again helps us to get recognized and be able to, you know, work with these companies that are coming to the city.
So Ashley, have you used that list to actually pitch?
Yes, I have.
Okay, all right.
Yes, yes. So,
Okay.
So yeah, it actually works too. So we'll send out an email, and most of the time they'll tell you if they're interested or not interested, but it really works well, for sure.
What percentage do you feel like the people that you've emailed from that list that New Orleans & Co. has, that you've gotten an actual business from?
Maybe about 2 or 3. I don't do it all the time. It's a
Okay.
lot. They come out, we get an email every month.
Every month.
And I try to get to it as much as I can, but I'm not always successful with it. So, but it really works for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How about y'all? How have you tapped into the conferences and, you know, meetings that come into town? Thousands of people.
It's similar to Ashley. I'll email the folks on the list and kind of take them through my process and become a point person for the, you know, when they get in town and how they want to do the gifts and all that. But I do the same thing. Check the list, email the list, send out emails 2 or 3 times a month. Some get unsubscribed. I mean, it is what it is. But really just tell them about my business, do some storytelling, and then tell them about what's going on in New Orleans, and just do it that way.
Great. Yeah. Have you all tapped into the conference meeting exhibit?
We haven't in quite some time. When we first started, we did a lot of different things, and we did activations with the American Heart Association for for art activations with that. But I would file that in our opportunities column of things that we should probably start to follow up with and look at the conferences coming back into town.
I definitely need to do a better job of tapping into it. I had no idea what was even going on. I mean, I just know the big events that's coming to town, and it's just, I just try to prepare my team, because us being on Canal Street with the tourism, it does help.
Right.
Being across the street from the Jung, it used to be the B Hotel, I forgot what that hotel is now. But I definitely need to do a better job of tapping into those resources. It's so many different resources and so many different things that's going on in the city that a lot of people have no idea about. So I do need to do a better job of doing that and getting out and being more active like how I used to be. It's just, I'm just so inundated with just work and got so much going on. It's just hard to find the time, but I need to make the time, especially, even if it's just checking the email to see what's going on. Yes.
I will say this too, a lot of times they may get to you before you get to them, and you may not even realize it came from New Orleans and Company. A lot of times that happens for me a lot. Yeah.
That's great to have people referring you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to take this opportunity to do one last lightning round with our panelists and then open up to the audience for Q&A, if that's okay. No. Yeah? No?
I think the Q&A is after.
Oh, it's after? Oh, okay. All right, so we'll keep on. Well, could we kind of have audience engagement? Do y'all have questions?
Well, I think we're, so I think we're up a minute ago, and then we'll do the audience Q&A after that.
Oh, okay. How many minutes do we have?
We can all do it together.
We can all do it. Okay, we can all do it together. Okay, well then this is a question that I wanted to ask you all. So y'all work incredibly hard. It has been a very difficult 2 or 3 years. How do you all stay sane so that you can keep on doing it the next day? Okay, well, are you sane? I mean, maybe that's a ground.
I'll jump it off. Kind of to a lot of what Greg has said is I've prayed for these problems. So I remember when nobody was buying anything from me, and I'll never forget that. So to be to a point where even anybody wants to buy anything is like, okay, this is further along than I was yesterday. So it's just continuing to strive and thrive and so one thing I do is pretend everything is practice. So even tonight, everything in my mind is like, this is practice for the next thing. I went and presented to the New Orleans and Company team. I did presentations before that, but those were practice for that. And then that's practice for the next thing. So it's really just about looking forward, not looking behind, whether good or bad, and staying even keeled and really just kind of pushing forward. And you talked about my principles, and I stay grounded in that. So every decision I make is based on the 5 principles I built my business on. So if it doesn't align with those 5 things, then I'm not doing it.
I would just say check in with yourself and recognize when you're not okay. The past couple of years, there have been some times when we were shocked that we're still in business. I would also recommend getting a great business partner because being an entrepreneur is a very lonely road. It's really good. You mentioned family support system. You have to make sure that you have some sort of support systems. But I mean, I know that within our company, not just within our leadership team, but within everyone on our team, we have a really open policy of kind of oversharing of like, if you need to take a personal day, like it is okay to not be okay, not just with COVID, but like everything in the world has been really crazy over the past 2 years. And like, if you're not okay, like that's okay. Like you don't have to just keep plowing through. I think as entrepreneurs, sometimes we put on this armor where we feel that we have to like, smile and say that everything's great. And always when someone asks you how you are, you say, we're doing great. And you're not. So just make sure to know when you're not, know when to take a break, know when to take a week break, know when to you tell whoever your support system, where it's your family, your partner, your business partner, whoever it is, to tell them that like you're not doing okay. And I think sometimes just speaking it out loud is enough to at least give the pressure valve a little bit of relief.
For me, it's a lot of praying. That's what really helps me a lot, just keeping God first in everything that I do. And I'll take a vacation in a heartbeat. So, just stepping away and just taking a vacation really is what I do. That's what keeps me sane. Yeah.
I think of course, just praying, I'm just heavy in my faith. One of my favorite gospel artists is Tasha Cobbs. So I'm trying to listen to her throughout the day because, I try to really control what it is that I allow I see and what I hear. So I pray a lot. I think that, I'm a very and my mom can probably attest to this, I'm a very self-motivated person. So I like to watch a lot of movies, like inspirational movies. So like The Pursuit of Happiness, I watch The Founder, like I said. I've been watching this over and over, this movie called Unbroken. It's a very, very good movie. And I just really be in my own bubble. I do a lot of self-reflection. I try to be a better man and make better decisions every day. And, I don't need nobody to tell me when I'm messing up. I know when I'm messing up. And I try my hardest just to, like I said, when I'm put in those positions and you pray for patience and you pray for this, you're going to be put in positions where your patience are going to be tested. And it's just, for me, like I said, I just try to embrace the process. And, a lot of times, I work out a lot too. So, I try to a lot of my stress and stuff like that, I just try to get it off like that. So, but I think that faith is just the biggest thing that, just keeps me grounded and, it just helps me to keep on going knowing that everything is going to be okay.
Yeah, and you said that a few times, and I hope that's a takeaway that we all can take away in the audience, because we gotta face another day tomorrow.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah. So, so I'd love to just hear about your biggest lessons learned as a business owner in the last 4 years, 5 years since you started. I think every one of you mentioned lessons, right? What are some lessons learned that that maybe that folks in the audience could also benefit from?
I think for me, when I first started in business, I would get a lot of calls about business that I couldn't handle, and I would just deny it. But as I grew, I understand that we all have to work together. Sometimes a contract calls for 80 vehicles, sometimes it calls for 10 vehicles. So just working with everyone, we're not in competition here, we're working together. So that's a lesson that I learned. I denied a lot of business, and now I take everything and I pass it on to my peer and let them get business as well.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That's great.
We call that co-opetition. One of the biggest things that we learned was diversify. I mentioned that entering into COVID, most of the biggest part of probably 80% of our revenue came from one client, and when that client didn't answer emails, we realized how fragile we were. Luckily, they came back, and we're still here. But, you always need to, you never know if it's not a pandemic, there's hurricane. There's a million different things that can go wrong. And you really have to look at what your client list looks like and what those risks are, and make sure that you diversify so that if something comes at you from this way, you're ready on the other side. So that's a big takeaway.
I would say help somebody. The items in my gift boxes, majority of it comes from other people. So that's kind of the blood of what I do. So I get enjoyment out of helping them, and then helping obviously my client, whoever the end recipient is. So for me, helping other people really helps kind of bolster me and give me strength.
I'm gonna piggyback off of that. I love basketball, I love the Pels, I love the Saints, but I love the Pels. I love the Pels. Oh man, I do. But I'm a big, like I said, that's where it comes from. I'm all about throwing alley hoops. So I love to throw you a lob, but connect the dots to see you win.
Yeah.
You know, because what you're doing has nothing to do with me. Because I know, you know, nobody can stop what's destined for me. So I can only help myself by helping other people. So, you know, I just like, so that's just me. That's who I am. You know, that's what I'm about. I just like helping people. I like connecting the dots, you know, and just, if I know somebody and I know I can help you, I'm gonna help you. Regardless of what the situation is, I'm gonna help you because, you know, obviously, you know, God placed you in a position for a reason. So you know, that's where I'm at with it.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
So I think, Ariel, 4 minutes left. Okay, so last round. Okay, this is the real last round of questions for our panelists. So what advice would you give to yourself, you know, when you were first starting your business? Advice maybe for anyone in the audience starting out a business for the first time, or an advice that you give to yourself?
Run as fast. No, I'm just
It's like, do it.
No, I mean, to what you said, just do it. And I think Colin talked about it as well. Like, just try. I mean, and you showed the box, when I first started, my boxes, I mean, in my opinion, were terrible. And people still bought it. I mean, so sometimes it's not about that. I mean, I listened to a podcast with Ty Graves from Raising Cane's, and he talked about how people told him, chicken fingers? Like, that's crazy. And he was just like, no, I believe in it. I see it. Faith. And we've been talking about it's kind of the same themes. So yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, you just have to step out and do it. Because if not you, somebody else will. And it might not be as good as what you were thinking. So you might want to just go ahead on and press on with it, try, and build that parachute on the way down.
Okay.
To add on to what he said, just get out of your own head. Like, you can do it. Just keep going and you're going to make it for sure.
How do you get out of your own head? Because that's not an easy
You just
thing to
gotta keep
do.
moving. Don't even think about it. Just
Don't
keep
even
going.
think about it.
Just keep. You have to keep going. Really. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I agree. They summed it up.
Okay.
You know, you just got to keep on going.
Just keep on
You
going.
just keep on going. That's
All right.
it.
I would just say, anytime you feel like you had a loss, look at it. What was there to learn from that? 2 of our biggest losses were the things that made us our most successful. So if we had just quit when that happened, like, we thought we had to win this one pitch competition to do this one thing, and when we didn't win it, what we realized is, like, none of our revenue streams had truly been flushed out, and even if we had won that pitch competition, it would have funded us for probably 2 years of business, but we would have failed after 2 years of business because we hadn't figured out our revenue streams. So by not getting that money, it actually better positioned us for the long term. So there is no such thing as a loss. It's a lesson learned.
Wow. Thank you for ending us with that, Colin, because that's also not easy to do because we face challenges every day, failures. And how can you turn any failure into 3 reasons why it was actually the best thing that ever happened to you? So with that, I think we're going to conclude our panel, but we're going to have an opportunity for Q&A. So thank
I know we're going to turn it over.
All right. Oh. This way?
Let's give the panelists a hand clap, everyone. We thank each of you. We're very proud of you for being a part of the business community in New Orleans. Special thanks to New Orleans and Company, Walt and Kev and team. Thank you for including us as real partners, as we should be, because it takes a village and a community to build up New Orleans. It does. I'm Elena Harris, the Deputy Director of Arts and Culture for the Mayor's Office of Cultural Economy. I am beyond honored to present here today. I was given talking points. Thank you to Raven Frederick, Director of Social Media, and also Jared, who takes good care of the mayor on all of her advanced visits. We thank you. The Mayor's Office of Cultural Economy was created in 2010 for local creatives. Office of Cultural Economy's mission is to stimulate economic activity and growth through our local cultural communities by creating opportunities for artists and creative producers to thrive. I am a creative. I am a New Orleans culture bearer. I've never worked in city government, so I am the square peg in a round hole. You can't put the square peg in a round hole. That's me. I'm the creative in the office. So I'm gonna try to do this slide. You say press it, right? All right. That's a brief overview of the team. We're gonna skip. They're all doing a great job. These are some of the initiatives that we have done across the city. Just like with the pandemic, we too had to pivot. I remember sitting in my office watching the mayor do a press conference, and I heard her say, "We must keep the culture alive." And I said, uh-oh, Lisa, she's talking about us. And so we knew the phone was going to ring, and that created a very unique opportunity because keeping the culture alive means going to the culture creators, the musicians, the artisans, everybody that create the cultures to try to see how we could keep things alive. So the funding stats for the Office of Cultural Economy, we offer modest funding. We try to do a lot. We try to do a lot with a little bit. So in 2021, we awarded over $300,000 in grant funding. Embrace the Culture, which is an initiative that came out of the pandemic. It was stipend-based, and it was also created to keep our culture bearers thriving. So we made partnerships with different venues across the city, and this is what we did. So cultural community grants. These are real numbers. These are real numbers, y'all. Also, the mayor created the New Orleans Tourism Cultural Fund, NOTCF, and with that fund, they've awarded over $1 million. Uh-oh, Raven, come help me. Let's see. All right. I got ahead of myself, y'all. All right. Everybody see that slide? Okay. That's all we got? Okay. We do a lot more work than that. So the mayor has created the New Orleans Tourism Cultural Fund and awarded over $1 million in grants directly to our cultural communities. We have resources available, everyone. Please look into these resources. You can find grant opportunities at notcf.com. We have one-pagers located in the area outside where there are tables located. We have one-pagers with all of this information. We also introduced, as I stated, the Embrace the Culture series. We had to give our artists a platform throughout the pandemic. These are all resources that are real and readily available to all New Orleanians that are creating. OCE is soon to publish a cultural economic report that will give the state of the cultural economy information to the public and private stakeholders. If you are not registered as a city vendor, we encourage you to do so. We have a system called the BRASS system. You can find that on NOLA.gov. You will get emails and information about opportunities for your businesses and for yourself. To gain more insight, please defer to myself or my partners that's with me tonight from the mayor's office. And thank you for allowing me to be here. I look forward to connecting with each of you. I invited Oprah to give everybody a call tonight, but I guess she couldn't make it. So, that was the big surprise. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you to New Orleans and Company for bringing NOLA Talks back. Thank you for being intentional. Thank you, Walt, for the phone calls, and Kevin, and everybody on your team. And thank you to all of the panelists. I have had a chance to experience your businesses except the transportation, so I'm gonna book a girls' day around the city. If you want to join me, give me a holler.
I think we've got some time for some Q&A.
Yeah,
We've got a few minutes.
yeah.
So I'll let
All right, so y'all have heard from Ms. Elena Harris about the work that the mayor, that the city of New Orleans is doing, and you've heard about these entrepreneur stories. So any questions? Yes.
So there's some entrepreneurs that actually came up during the pandemic, which is my client
right.
here, Miss B Sweet. She doesn't toot her own horn, so I'm gonna toot it. I'm gonna toot her own horn for her. She's
Thank
a
you.
single mother of 2 children. She has the hottest spot on North Rampart Street called B Sweet Bistro.
Yes.
And the most amazing part about this story is that during the pandemic, when everything was shut down, people were having anniversaries and birthday parties and trying to do girls' trips. And so they started getting magical and they said, we need a cake. And so she is a celebrity cake designer and a party chef. And she opened the bistro because her storefront became too small during the pandemic. They said, can you slice the cake and put them in little things when people drive by? And she answered the call. And so then she blew it up. And then she calls me up and says, can you help me? Because the business is getting out of hand. And so I said, well, I produce, I direct, I don't do that. She said, you know how to do business. You know how to do something. I said, oh, my God. And so as you said, help someone. Mia X, I said, Mia, what this girl is about? She said, D, help her. She good. She knows. She know. I said, oh, Lord. Okay. I found myself in the kitchen. And I want to see her succeed. And so what I want to say to you all is, today, listening to all of you, I want to know, how do we create this partnership opportunity? Because she has things that can go into your gift box. She has things that can go into, you say you throw a bottle of champagne. She's got all kinds of New Orleans stuff. And it's right in the central business district of New Orleans. And she's right on North Rampart Street, across the street from Congo Square. So help me understand how we can create something inside of New Orleans and Co. where we can all connect and say, this pocket, that. How can we create this, hierarchy of a map or something? How can we all connect to one another as entrepreneurs? That's it.
Amazing. Amazing. So
Just did that.
well, New Orleans and Co. Do you want to, Kevin, do you want to take this first?
Well, thank you for that great question, Deidre. It actually you would think I planted you here. So that's one of the big benefits of what we offer for our members, the opportunity not only to connect with the hospitality industry, but also to connect with each other. I think what you'll find when you talk to our members, they enjoy doing business with each other. There's a lot of efforts between events we hold, member-to-member expos. We have an extranet where they can communicate. There's a Facebook page where they work together and they make comments and they'll say, hey, can anybody provide this service? So it is really a true community and a network. We'd love to talk to you about joining that company and becoming a member with us. But I think there's a lot of opportunities with that. And then we're going to continue to do programming like this. That was the idea behind tonight. Let's get some of the entrepreneurs in our circle that we know. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the impact of the hospitality community and have these conversations. So thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, and I think there are partnership opportunities right here. So would anyone like to just jump in?
I mean, I have a card for her. I have a card for you after this, so I will. But I think attending things like this is because you have to. I mean, I don't assume anybody knows who I am, so I don't ever go anywhere with that. So I know coming to events like this and meeting people is big for me. I mean, so being on this panel, when I saw Greg was on there, I was like, oh my God, Greg's on there. I'm like, man, I've been wanting to meet Greg for the longest, but it's, for me as a coming up entrepreneur, you kind of see other people in the city who are doing things, and you look for those opportunities to connect. So again, here I am sitting next to him. When it was something that 5 years ago, I would just look at his social media like, man, I don't know if I'll ever. So it's just over time getting out and talking to more people and talking to more people, and then here I am.
We locked and loaded, bro. Proud of you too, bro.
Great. Thank you. Other questions or comments? Stories? Yes. Yes, Ms. Mary.
Hi, my name is Mary Champagne Barnes, and I am the CEO of Champagne Transport. And actually, I don't have a question, but I have a testimony. And I want to say that Greg and Ashley actually lived the lives that they have told us about this evening. We have worked for Greg, and Ashley, our business is only a year old, and Ashley has been a mentor. Every time I have called her for help or information, she has always been willing, and in a positive manner, no attitude, always willing to help. So I just want to say that they are for real up there, and definitely partner with them. And Mr. Floyd, I need a box.
Thank you, Terry. Any other questions or other testimonies?
All right, I think all you guys did a great job. I didn't get a chance to meet you, but I think you have a great business model. My question is, so in 2011, Netflix made a decision to split. They actually had a mail by DVD service that they actually split up, from their company. So they only had a streaming service. So Reed Hastings was the CEO during that time, and he actually lost about 77% of their value. That's how much money they lost when they made that decision to split. And they just made a decision to split because they knew where the market was going. My question is, what decision did you guys make that really, that was a tough decision to make, and eventually, you saw that it was the right decision for the company?
Wow, great question.
I'll say the best decision that I made was closing my stores during the pandemic, to be honest with you. Because for me, like I said, it was about the people. And I still have those financial obligations that I'm just now coming out of and still paying back. So, but for me, like I said, I knew that was a blessing. And that was the blessing because I didn't want to be a part of the problem. So I just wanted to be more a part of the solution. So for me and my business, that was, like I said, it was very pivotal for me because closing the stores, it helped me to focus on the products. And now I've really, fell in love with those products. And, my long-term goal is not only to, have weed ads in every city across the country, but to have a product on every aisle in the grocery stores. So, and me coming from working with, like I said, with Frito-Lay, managing convenience stores as small as convenience stores to as large as Sam's Clubs, I see the potential. I know, what can happen. And, for me, I think that was really, really the blessing for me during the pandemic.
Yeah. For me, again, starting off with medical transportation and then getting into the limousine side of it, just being able to change and not be stuck on one thing. When we got into the limo industry, it just took off, and we just loved the tourism side of things, and we were able to be ourselves and just show New Orleans to people when they come to the city. Sometimes we're the first point of contact when people come to the city, so we're like an ambassador for New Orleans. So we tell people, oh, go to Weed Ads, and then when we pick them back up, they're like, oh, we went to Weed Ad, and the chicken was so good. So it's just great that they, they listen to what we say. So that's really cool to be able to, pivot and just know when you got to change and just not be stagnant.
But how hard was it for you both to make that decision? How long did it take you?
It didn't take, my dad, he's in the audience here. He worked for the airport for 30 years, over 30 years. And when we started, medical transportation was really slow when we first started. So he was like, why don't y'all just start picking up people at the airport? So we started, and it just kind of picked up from there. We got on different websites and things like that, and people from all over the world started calling us to book with us. And then our reviews, people say, we had a great experience. They were like mini tour guides. They didn't even book a tour, but got a tour of the city when they arrived from the airport to go to their hotel. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was very tough.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was very tough. Cutting off your stream of income that you use to provide for your family. It was tough. So I had to figure it out because I have obligations and people that, depend on weed that's in my bloodline. So, it was very tough. But like I said, just seeing, the light at the end of the tunnel and just knowing that, everything was going to be okay. So.
Yeah. Two of you want to take this one?
I mean, so I started this business with 3 people, and over a year and a half, it ended up as 1 person. And the 2 people who started with me were my oldest friends, and it was a lot of just turmoil, unspoken stuff, and all of that. And eventually, I mean, I prayed about it a long time, and I had a lot of conversations with my wife, like, is it supposed to be me? Am I supposed to take this on my own? And I think the Lord ended up making that decision for me. I didn't have to. Mm-hmm. So here I am now.
So we were originally going to be an online art platform that was just online. No retail, no gallery, no nothing with B2B. And then when the UMC hospital was being built, their designers were going around buying artwork all over the city, and like one of our artists, talking about helping people out and plugging, not worrying about if there's enough pie. One of the artists that they were buying from, they had found them on the platform, messaged them through the platform. She said, you guys need to talk to Kat and Colin, the girls that wear your art can help you. And they came and they bought more artwork in 1 month than we had sold in the entire point of our business. And we were like, oh, we need to be putting art in buildings. And so, like, don't discount what your product is. You may, like, think that it's one thing, and we still do have our art platform where you can buy artwork online. But what we had was a roster of artists that we were able to mobilize for whatever the needs were being. And when we saw the need in hospitals and healthcare and hospitality, and you know that these people need artwork, we had that connection. So like, think about what your product is, but also think about where else it could lend its hand.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, thank you, Colin. So I think that concludes our session, and I want to just thank our panelists today for sharing so candidly their stories and their advice. And I am hopeful that their stories have inspired us tonight, and for all the entrepreneurs in the audience, have made you feel less alone and more that, faith that it is all going to work out. And so thank you all for really sharing with all of your hearts tonight.
Thank you.